The universe undoubtedly extended, empowering out and out more first-rate length. After this period, it persevered to develop, however, at a more languid expense. In the quick changing over into the universe we concentrate on as of late, that is the inflationary hypothesis of the collectible cosmic impact. The most prominent and generally sore speculation of how the universe began. Anyway, for a couple of physicists, this head theory does no longer precisely paint the development of our universe. Celebrated, the universe existed before that, stretching out endlessly into the past as well as into the future. Even as the universe is expanding these days, it became contracting ahead of time than the enormous detonation. In this view, the enormous detonation isn't really a bang but a jump, a second even while the contracting universe exchanged ways and headed out to make once more. As laid out through their hypothesis, the universe might have to sidestep with continued improvement, less dissuaded by a breakdown inside the some far distance future, than another leap. Some physicists propose this may be endless. This horrible circumstance is the standard cosmological view in which the entire matter originated with a huge bang. The first-class physicist Brian Cox's also difficult circumstances the hypothesis of how things arrived to advance, that something can't rise out of nothing. Adding to the stress, the James Webb telescope has made alarming disclosures conflicting with the idea that the enormous detonation might be thought about the start of the universe. These discoveries convey up the inquiry: if the huge explosion wasn't the start of the universe, then what was? Should the universe in the long run start with a detour or something most certainly unmistakable? The idea that the universe had a start, or an evening with no yesterday, as it became originally analyzed, gets back to George L. in 1927. Simultaneously, it's far a less than ideal circumstance to show that the universe probably had a start. That length of cost history has barely anything to do with the hot broad bang that portrayed our basic universe. However, exceptional area subject matter experts, or even a minority of experts, regardless of the reality that live with conviction that the enormous bang denotes the earliest reference point of all that all matters considered. The definition is out of the enormous explosion isn't the introduction of life as we may be mindful of these days. In truth, there may be a ton of proof highlighted a non-singular start of our universe. We never showed up at those ends dependent generally upon no prominent endo or over-the-top temperatures. Our universe is great characterized by means of an inflationary length that occurred previously. The enormous explosion is the stop final result of what passed off inside the bearing of the culmination of progress during improvement. The universe altered into most certainly void, no garbage, independent of no F-photons, just void region. Space itself became loaded with a gigantic amount of strength at each spot. This power changed after some time, reaching out in a fast and resolved design. As the universe delayed, those adjustments relaxed to monstrous augmentations while new bound scale adjustments have been made to zenith. This superposition of insecurities all through scales is a portraying component of cosmological expansion. It's for inconsistent reasons, not purpose. If you lived in an expanding universe, you may potentially find close by locals where an expansion arrived at an end or the region among you and them delayed persistently. In short, you could attempt to acquire what takes place nearer to the start of a huge effect before that area disappeared practically from view. It incorporates a little neighborhood, taking all things into account, probably no more prominent standard size than a human incredible hamster ball. Anyway, probably impressively bigger, the power capability of the area then at that point gets changed over into be counted, furthermore radiation. This change happens quickly, taking structure rapidly yet not promptly, because the energy shut up itself changes over into flume and some photons and more. The temperature rapidly expands from only a couple of degrees above outright Z to maybe around 20 Kelvin throughout the indistinguishable fast time period. Due to the enormous level of energy adjusted, all that activity is near the speed of light. All particles go about as radiation with colossal strength, whether massless or gigantic. This change is called warming, denoting the finish of progress, furthermore the beginning of the degree alluded to as the new enormous bang. As progress continues, you'll witness a colossal substitute from all past circumstances while the current enormous detonation starts. The expanding universe fast dials back after the secret picture of progress. In an inflationary universe, spot expands absolutely with more prominent and expanded way regions strolling ceaselessly. Even as progress closes and the new enormous bang gets going and advances more, farther areas will subside from you to an always developing certificate. Continuously as time advances, the piece of the universe in which improvement closes sees the augmentation cost drop, while the expanding areas surrounding it see no such drop. Under augmentation, the space to any object should double after a particular length. And while that equivalent measure of time slips by, that distance duplicates once more endlessly. Once the huge explosion begins, this alteration since the expanding universe eases slows down after the underlying second of improvement. Before the enormous detonation, you may experience improvement clearing off with adjoining regions. Those areas where improvement closures will load up with antimatter and radiation and make greater more slowly than the as yet creating locals, leaving you in the expanding neighborhood as a standard organization within spacetime. Those areas in which intensity enormous bangs get a prize as far away from elite places where improvement keeps. Because of this, they'll expediently subside from one another's view. Within the standard inflationary picture, because of this, the improvement charge changes. There may be a little gamble that any universes with separate warm huge bangs will of all time cooperate. The area where we come to live gets rather fortunate. An improvement arrives at an end for us. The power normal for space itself gets changed over to an intensity thick and nearly uniform expanse of particles. With the number one blemish and further takeoffs from consistency concerning the quantum changes that existed and were relaxed across the universe faster or later of advancement. The high-quality energy quantum fluctuations compare at first to overdense regions, while the awful energy fluctuations get converted into most importantly under regions. Those include as the seeds of huge structures. We can't see those thickness fluctuations lately as they had been, even as the universe most importantly went by means of the intense broad bang. There are not any noticeable engravings we can get admission to from that early span. Subsequent to going through extra affiliations, in spite of the fact that we can extrapolate back to figure out the underlying thickness vacillations, tracking down something consistent with the story of cosmic improvement. The temperature vacillations are engraved inside the inestimable microwave record, CMB, presenting proof of how the enormous detonation began. Yet there are different irregularities most of the CMB and our cutting-edge form of cosmology. We're missing something and individuals can be summed up in 4 irregularities. First, on chiefly tremendous scales, the universe isn't generally acting as anticipated. The light from the CMB is being lensed by means of our Among Us and the CMB, meaning the depend behaves like an enormous focal point, bending and changing over the plentifulness of the gentle in the return of it. The volume of this lensing isn't continuously predictable with our bleeding-edge model, addressing a high-quality mission for cosmology. Besides, the different sides of the equator of the CMB sky have one feigned normal temperature, clashing with the assumption for consistency inside the universe's earliest degree. The possibility that the universe should have begun to dependably results in various irregularities. Third, the expense of the Hubble consistent, which depicts how fast the universe is expanding, changes contingent on whether we measure it from the astronomical microwave noteworthy past, CMB, or from neighboring stars. All in all, those abnormalities proposed we are inadequate with regards to something fundamental by the way we decipher the universe. One proposed arrangement comes from circle quantum cosmology, which starts from circle quantum gravity. On the structure of life in circle quantum cosmology, there's a littlest size of spot, the Board scale, or 1.0 times 10 to the power of -35. This approach implies the enormous bang couldn't exist in a universe depicted through this rule. As an alternative, the universe should by no means come to a limitlessly little dense issue close to the huge explosion. In circle quantum cosmology, while the universe became tiny, quantum rectifications anticipated a frightful strain, causing a leap instead of a peculiarity. This shows that our universe might have begun from a first universe that contracted after which broadened all over again, similar to a phoenix rising from the cinders. While the idea of an enormous skip isn't absolutely new, all the time, circle quantum cosmology gives a numerical structure to support its cyclic time. Very much like the possibility of an enormous jump, it is moreover situated in H cosmology, including in a similar manner to this thought. If circle quantum cosmology is right, the early universe may have had a gentle energy and thickness. This current circumstance ought to alter the CMB, showing up as gentle varieties in temperature all throughout the sky. These varieties measured through the quality-energy range offer enormous proof of the universe's establishment, further guiding the chance of a leap. Ordinary circle quantum cosmology offers a convincing and open door to the ultramodern huge explosion variant, possibly settling a portion of the long-standing irregularities in cosmology and providing bits of knowledge into the beginnings of the universe. It besides gives a promising reason for the third anomaly, the disparity in normal temperatures among the two halves of the globe of the CMB sky. The design provided with the aid of the method of circle quantum cosmology tends to the fundamental oddities situated in the CMB, the surprising way of behaving of the lensing, and the estimation of the Hubble consistent. Regardless of these powerful intercess ions, many inquiries keep on being replied. How did the universe start, and what is its fate? Whether or not the enormous bounce hypothesis is correct, it requests a reconsideration of our profound-seated standards about the universe's source. Starting with an exchange among growth and withdrawal, the full-size evidence of the universe's beginning is showing up from quantum vacillations. Circle quantum cosmology implies a quantum standard for the littlest measure of space and time, suggesting a universe without an enormous bang peculiarity. So the whole issue began due to the fluctuating electrons and protons. Indeed, even with this sense, it is extraordinarily difficult to examine the distinctive start.